Alright, as I move right down the roster and hope that I've discovered the cause of my mic problems, time for Mitsurugi. So starting off with his horizontal attacks, his basic AAA string has a really slow third hit, and as far as I can tell he can't really vary this with anything, so just be ready to duck if he does the third one. You can also even get fancy. But if you block the whole thing, it's minus 12 and you're not even going to get that kick. So do be sure to duck the third hit if he decides to go for it after all. Next is this. This is actually plus 4, so you have to either interrupt him, or you can go for a base hold parry, or you can go for a regular parry, which is much less effective. The problem is he can go into relic stance out of this. Yeah, that gives him quite a few options. Sorry. Like so. Yeah. As you can see, that's some quick stuff. You can't just blindly throw out your parry. Oh, he was back turned there, so that wasn't real. Your 14 frame counter poke doesn't work. You have to go for a 12 frame kick after the 5 or 6A if you really want to guarantee that you can shut down his options. It makes it a lot safer than you'd think it is. But the kick does shut him down nicely. So next is this. Again, safe, negative but safe, and vulnerable to level 3 impact, but you're not going to react to that. Like, let's see. If you are lucky enough to hard read it with base hold, you do get lethal hit, which is nice. Standard 2A. Safe, parryable, all that. Now this low is 34 frames, really slow and punishable on block. So punishable on block that I'd even recommend going for something like that. You can also jump it pretty easily on reaction, however, it has this follow-up, or cancel I guess you could say. Which will hit you if you block low, and will blow you up if you try to go for the base hold parry. So, one thing you can do is go into base hold when you see the startup, and then chief hold spin around him if he goes for the lightning. Another is to start blocking low and go for the chief hold spin, which gives the superior punish to the vertical version. Then you have Drawn Breath, which is a only slightly negative attack, but it's difficult to duck on reaction. The reason you'd want to duck it on reaction is because he can go into his mist stance. And the thing about mist stance, if I can go to record real quick. Unlike the relic stance thing earlier, if he goes into mist stance, he can just straight up interrupt you. Obviously, if you duck the entry point there, you're fine. You can also, if you read the option he goes for, you can wreck him pretty hard. Those pokes, if he goes all the way through the series, are also pretty punishable. But he's got that, which is also sidesteppable, but if you're blocking and waiting to punish, you might get hit with the low. And then he's also got... Sorry. This. Which, if you're trying to hard read him, he'll blow you up pretty hard for it. Of course, I'll cover those options more when I get to special moves. His crouching A is just standard 2A again, same as the other one. While rising AA is an interesting one, because if he goes for the second hit, that was weird, you can just duck it. If you do block, it's safe though, so make sure if you see the second hit off of his rising A, that you duck. He's also got a jumping A, of course, which is safe. You can probably duck if you see him jumping and spinning at the same time and get a rising B punish. Nothing special on the facing away A options. Alright, vertical attacks for Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi's kind of known for having stupid vertical tracking compared to every other character. But a lot of these are either pretty negative or punishable, or one of them in the vertical category is a horizontal mid, so I don't know. Anyway, let's just get started. So his basic BP is reversal edge strain, just sidestep after the second hit. You want to sidestep left, and I'll get into why that is later.
Give up.
Although, for this reversal edge strain, it doesn't look like the items, so be ready to confirm the lethal. But then there's this. And if you go left there, you're gonna cover pretty much... Or sorry. Go right. Sidestep right. There's another one where you go left, but on this one, let me demonstrate.
Come on!
If you go left, that stab will track. I was just talking about dome tracking on Mitsurugi verticals. But if you go right, it'll whiff. So 1-2, step right. 1-2, right. Don't go for a crouch or stop moving really. Just go for the right, 3B. You can also try really quick crouch, because that will up under the horizontal and block the low. But as you can see, if he delays just a little bit, this will stab you, which is obnoxious. So there's what you're trying to duck under with that. Then he's also got... Sorry. See what I mean though, he has insane tracking on his verticals. If I pulled off the rising B and I actually had 2B, that would have worked. Like so. not so much an option select because he can delay things or just not do the stance and catch you or hold down reversal edge and track really far. But it's a general mindset to be in, I guess you can call it, of step to the right and be ready to crouch after his 5BB. So anyway, here's his B6 mask. That's the one where he goes, cuts!
Cuts! Cuts!
And all you get off it is a 4A, but that's really good enough.
Cuts!
You can duck it. It's got this thing.
Tag! Tag!
I don't know why it's in the vertical category because it's a horizontal mid, but if he tries to whack you with a horizontal mid, just make him suffer for it. Then he's got 6BB, which goes into mist. And I would say sidestep right 3B. If he doesn't do anything with the stance, he can block that. It's a 3B punish if he tries to block. So it's kind of a conditioning thing. Once you teach him not to stance, then you can try punishing it. He's probably not using 6BB if he doesn't plan on stancing out of it though. So just to show you the same options as before. 6B. Sorry. And of course. So you'll sidestep that. I think you'll tech crouch that if I messed up. Maybe not. Sorry. I swear it worked 5 minutes ago. So maybe it's while rising B again. Watch out for stupidness.
Come on!
Like so. I totally messed up the instant long rising B's there, but you get the idea. It still works against everything. Oh, he's got the one I said 3B. So the one that you do have to worry about 3B wise. If you crouch into that, you'll get hit. It can track pretty decently. Let me record. I'm terrible. So the 3B will counter hit, whereas that just makes it whiff. Probably go for the instant while rising B, honestly. Anyway. So he's got his 3B, which is a standard launcher, punished with this array. Pretty much almost every launcher in the game is 4A punishable. This looks the same, but isn't. This faster launcher looking thing, just follow up with 6A, or once he starts to guard impact your 6A, try to bait that. Or if you can somehow react to that, which you can't, trust me, it is a level 4 guard impact situation. Next up, Leap the Loach. You'll see net players love this move. It is 3B punishable. And even if you try to sidestep, it jails, so you can still get that 3B without getting hit in the middle. But try to sidestep because of this.
Give up.
So always try to sidestep regardless. I would say sidestep left, easier to get the back throw in that case. And right tends to hit me here. Right left is pretty reliable. The back throw isn't consistent, so if you want you can go for 3B. Okay, so wind hole upper is -4. Couch it, but otherwise. I did say you can go left 6A, like that. You may wonder why. That's because if he goes for what is it? That's his 4B AA. As you notice, the A whiffs. So if you block it, oh, that's the first time I haven't had it whiff. Like so. And then if he goes, sorry, he goes for 4B, B. Like that. I forget which thing tracks to the right, but yeah. So while rising B, or actually he does have a full crouch B, but it's the same as 2B frame-wise almost. He's -8 here, so just go for 6A or go for 8B. Off of the while rising B, always want to go for one of those. Oops. Even if you're late on the input, as you can see, it'll just clash. But because you're fast enough to interrupt that, don't hold it. You're just giving him a turn he doesn't expect. Then he has his jumping B, which is the slowest of the jumping attacks, but as you can see, he kind of catches you on two-fold sword for no reason. But because his body isn't spinning when he goes up, you can tell the hop kick you would have already blocked, and the horizontal whips opponent, so you can kind of react to this and punish it. Really, he's probably only going for it as a hard read off jumps anyway, or hard read for lows, I should say. Both of his back turn B attacks are safe on block, but they're like, I think, -6, -8. So you can start pressure afterwards. Mitsurugi's kicks will start right off with 5K, which is their standard high safe hand block. 3 guard impact giving 2. If you block that, just 6A in return or something. Next up you have Obedience, which is very not standard thing for the kick problem. It's rising B punishable versus crouch. Then you've got Wheel Kick, which is kind of like the standard kick, but better at catching sidestep and a bit slower. It's sort of react to it. Next up is Front Kick. It's a mid. You have a pretty negative situation after blocking that. I think it's like -8, so you can pressure with AB afterwards. That's riskier though. It's usually better to just 6A. Next you got Hem Stitch, a standard 2K. Then you have Stock Shaver, which most it's falling off mid, but it's extremely punishable. If you try to punish just the low, you'll get hit, but it's like this 10 or something hits, so he's discouraged pretty heavily from not going for the follow-up. If it hits you and he doesn't go for it, feel free to try and push the buttons. If you block it and he doesn't go for it, you might miss a punish opportunity, but I don't know. A lot of the times that's better than getting counter hit into whatever misstance combo. Even in the misstance version, as you can see, you can still, if you time it right, get the lethal punish. Next we got Bullet Cutter. So this one, you can sidestep the second hit if you can see at the time. Reacting to the Sparta kick thing, and stepping behind the back throw. That first kick is minus 12. If you try to kick punish it, you might get knocked down across the stage, so I wouldn't. Hem Stitch again. Crouching K is literally the same as 2K. Then he's got While Rising K, which safe kick, a lot of pushback, just go for pressure afterwards or something. It is minus 8, so you can't go for the 80 there. His jump kick, if you see him jump, sidestep that'll be both the first and quick, unless of course you see him spinning, in which case you're supposed to duck. His reverse kicks are just the same as his regular forward-facing kicks. That's slower 5K and that's slower 2K. One thing I'll add for the jump kick, for some reason I wrote in my notes specifically sidestep left. That might be because of the way he spins when he does the horizontal or something, but I'm not sure. I would play it safe and trust 3AM lab me. Mitsurugi's dual button attack list is thankfully quite short. It starts off with his standard attack. Then he's got Dividing Thrust, which is twice I don't. You saw the 18 hit, it's not right. Oh, this sure is.
My strength fails me.
That was embarrassing. You've got Cold Stitch, which do your best to react and get behind him.
That it?
And sidestepping left for what you saw. If you do block it, it's -2, so you can try going for a 4A or something, or a 5K, but that'll whiff if he doesn't push a button, and that might leave you more open. Next up is Wheel Slash, which is like the world's most aggressive all out. Spin, or you can just run behind him alone. If you do block it, crouch stay. It's under him, whereas it's closer, it's spin. Steel Slicer. Another one is a punish. So what I do is, then he's got this is just an odd hit only. If you block it, you get a third hit, so always go for 3 times in a row in the lab just now. Alright. Standard unblockable, but he has this version, which if you only spin once, will track and hit you. So, you see him continuing to charge after the second spin. Closer together, because otherwise you don't get the back hit. Samurai Tackle is an actual unique back-facing move. It's like a shoulder check thing, and you can finish it with a kick. And yeah, that wraps up button attacks.
Coward!
Next up, we've got Mitsurugi's 8-way run attacks, starting right off with 6AA, which is pretty safe, but you can get the level 3 guard impact if you want to go for that read. Let's see. I think it's -8. So you can go for your AB or 6A pressure or what have you afterwards. You cannot interrupt between 2 hits though. He can just miss-cancel after the first hit, but it is actually very negative if he does that. And so this will beat just about everything. You may wonder, why that specifically. If I can do things right. So, I'm sorry. It'll beat that out speed-wise. There may be other things speed-wise that beat it out like 6A, but no, I'm doing it wrong. Sorry for the delay. It'll beat that startup, whereas if you go for something else, the armor might get you. Next up is Rib Ripper. Just a 5k punish on this one. A weird little horizontal mid. Honestly, the better answer is just to hit him while he's sidestepping. But if you do block it, get your free kick. Drawn Air is the next thing. This one is -8, so again, all you can really do is start pressure. You can go into Relic Stance out of it, so if he does that, it's a bit of a different scenario. Not quite as negative as the missed transition that we just showed, so this is 4-4A, right? So that, even if you perfectly time it, will trade. But 16 frames will win out. So you can confirm 6A into 6AA because the second hit will pick up even though he's in midair when you hit him. Whereas if you go for this, best case scenario is a trade. Alright, next up, Heavenly Dance. This one is very negative. The first hit you can punish with 4A, but it's hard to... I don't know what I would really call it. It's hard to confirm that he didn't push a second button, so it's not really worth it. Especially since he can just Relic Transition after the first hit. And if he does Relic Transition there, it's better because you're kind of in the same situation as with Drawn Air. It's better to go for the 6A if you notice he's only going for one hit, because you can get that as opposed to maybe a 4A counter hit, maybe a 4A punish, and probably just getting counter hit yourself. Hell Flash is a weird one. Forces crouching. It's -10 though, so you can go for while rising A, and you should counter hit anything he throws out. And then even if he blocks it, you can frame trap him with kick or go for a low or mid or what have you. Burst Flames. This one is interesting. You kind of have to duck the high if you want a guaranteed punish, because as you can see, he can cancel into both Mist and Relic. Sorry, be ready to confirm the counter hit there, like I wasn't just now. But if you block both, you can try just stepping. I'd recommend sidestepping right to avoid, if he does go into Mist, the 6B stab. But regardless of stance transition, if you duck the second hit, you can launch him, which is pretty nice. If he tries to further cancel the Mist into Relic, or actually it's the third hit that he's canceling into Relic, sorry, and it still counts as a counter hit despite the fact that it's a stance transition and not an attack, because the stance is being cancelled out of an attack startup. Yeah, probably just sidestep right if you do block the first two hits, just in case, because that'll cover all of his stance options. And obviously, if he goes for the full follow-up, you're covering that too. Hellbreaker. So if you want to read it, you gotta step left, I think. No, it works both ways. But if you step right, you can't get the back throw. Whereas if you step left, you can. Other than that, it's just a big shoulder check. It's -10, so you can actually go for a lot of stuff afterwards. But it's safe because Siegfried doesn't have a 10 frame normal. Rising Knee is kind of just a thing. It's -2, so I don't really know what you're supposed to do. If he does like to mash after it, you can go for the kick or the 4A or whatever. Otherwise, I don't know. If you respect this, you can try throwing him because he's up in your face. Like most of this kind of move, you do get the level 3 GI. And you could say that its purpose is probably to offer a mix-up option with... I mean, even though, as you can see, the direction's a little different, but here's his other sidestepping kick, shield clip, which you get a full launcher off of. But if you're used to him, you know, kicking you mid, then maybe you don't punch as often. This, by the way, does catch sidestep. Bullet Cutter is actually the exact same move that you've already seen in the past. I want to say that was in his kick section as KB. Fast K. Slide KB, I guess is what you would call it. This is a mandatory sidestep situation. You gotta recognize the startup and move. So if you want the better punish if he goes for it. I think you gotta sidestep, or spin right, I should say. Because if you go left and you're late, he can hit you sometimes. It also doesn't give back as reliably. However, he can cancel into Relic Stance, and if he's going for Relic, stepping left would be better. I don't know. And then obviously he has the regular slide. Doesn't change from most other characters. Just a quick little... So I get his back if I go left. I do not get his back if I go right, and that's what I was getting at with how it might be better to go right if he does it and left doesn't. Both get you lethal at least some of the time though. Alright, let's talk special moves for Mitsurugi. First up is Silent Step, which he doesn't actually, I don't think, have anything that transitions into that. So this will be the first time you're seeing it. He's got Ear Slicer, which is the horizontal option. And this is -14. If he doesn't do the second hit, it's actually completely safe, but you do get a level 3 guard impact. So don't worry about trying to push a button really after that first hit so much. Just wait for the second hit and punish usually. This is also -14, but you're out of range of your 14 frame punishes. So you can either go for pressure like this, or you can try to catch him sidestepping, or microdashing isn't really a thing in a 3D game, but that's the only way I can describe this. You kind of take one step into 6A, you walk forward for just short enough to not trigger 6A. If you just push 6A though, it'll whiff. Next up is Silent Stock Spin. That is the low option, or the kick option, however you want to look at it. And you can just Rising B punish that. You can hold it to go into Relic Stance. However, even if he does, you'll just counter hit him out of whatever button he presses, presuming that you blocked the low. Next we've got Mist Stance, which is pretty familiar if you've been watching the video to this point. A lot of things do transition into this. Most of those times, if you see Mist Stance, you can just sidestep right and then do an instant while Rising B, and that's a pretty good answer to all of his Mist stuff. But I will go through the individual options. So there's this, which is a pretty slow high horizontal. You can duck it on reaction. If you don't duck it, it's safe, and you get pretty much nothing off of guard impact, so try to duck that. Next is Cloud Cutter. He does the full string. You can punish him quite hard for it. However, if he only does the first hit and he goes into Relic, he has a variety of options out of that. Kick will at worst trade if he does this. Oops, I may have just ruined the recording. I did. So that's his fastest option. As you can see, you end up just about even there. If he goes for something slower, oops, sorry. But yeah, slower options, kick will interrupt it. So if he stops at the first hit, you can just go for a kick to try and stop him from doing anything. There's not really a better option than that, unfortunately, though, because if you try to defend against the relic stance options, he actually has pretty solid mix-up there. A fast horizontal versus a fast guard-breaking vertical mid that leaves him plus. And I'll get into both of those later on when I cover relic stance. If he does do 2 or 3 hits, he's minus 12. Just to show that.
Ready? Ready?
That also applies if he does 1 hit and doesn't transition into relic stance, which is why just going for kick if he stops it early is good in general. Next we've got Purifying Thrust. You may recognize this. It's the left tracking stab that I showed earlier. You can't really sidestep that on reaction, but it does track left and not right. Also, if you just block it, it's very punishable, but it has low block stun, so it's hard to get to lethal. As you can see, it looks like it's actually minus 18, but I've still missed the instant HEA lethal a couple times there. Next up is this. It's a 2-hit. Don't ruin yourself by standing. If you block the low, you can just launch him because the second hit is high. If you do block the second hit normally, he's safe. Next is Divide. This is the armored attack. Oops, sorry about that. Not punishable, so you just want to sidestep that and get your back turned punish. One thing I should tell you. Nope. So it doesn't track this way, but it does track to the right. So unlike the stab, which tracks left but not right, the armored attack, if you trigger it and you do manage to react in time to not continue attacking, it tracks right but not left. So yeah, if you do accidentally hit him during that, sorry, there's a kind of low armor period it looks like, you want to go left. So next, his throws, similar to what I covered in the Astaroth video a while back, actually do have a visual tell out of the stance throws. See how you have like a camera spin there? So if the camera spins, it's a forward tech. However, the tech window is actually pretty short on these. Unlike regular throws, which kind of had the tech window nerfed, it seems like they might have left these alone. But see how the camera doesn't rotate for the back tech version? So if you're fast enough to notice whether the camera rotates or not out of that stance throw, you can forward tech for spinny camera, back tech for stationary camera. Finally, we've got Relic Stance. So Relic Stance is a lot slower to transition into than its counterparts, but all of the options out of it are, there's a lot less defined answers to them. So for example, we've got Quick Draw. That leaves him plus. You can kind of react to the sparks and duck if he goes for the second hit. But what you can't react to is he can go back, he can just do the first hit and go back into Relic, or he can hold it and go into Mist Stance. You can kind of react to the Mist Stance transition with the counter poke there. Like so. But if he just goes for, say, the vertical option, you don't really have time to say, oh no, it's the vertical and sidestep. You just end up blocking and now he's at +4 and gets to keep doing things. So one thing I wanted to show, besides just being able to counter poke out here, well, I can't even combo because I'm terrible. So the wiki is a little off on relic stance things. It says this is minus 22 on the stance transition. That is false. The other thing I wanted to show is if he does just the mist stance B back into mist stance, treat it as any other mist stance transition scenario and do a like one side step to the right, instant while rising B, like so. You might wonder why that's important, and let me show you. I couldn't tell you why that double vertical catches the end of my sidestep, but it does. Just Mitsurugi things. I think I've talked before about how annoying his verticals can be. Alright, moving on. So Firebrand, this is the vertical option I was talking about. It's really hard to react to, and like I was saying, his verticals are super special. It can catch you if you step left. But it's kind of hard to see that and step right on reaction. More power to you if you can do it consistently. Just make sure you get that little bit of extra distance on the step so you can get the back throw. That's what I was talking about, where if he just does one hit, it's really hard to recognize that that's happening and punish him for it. So a lot of the times, if you just if you just block that first hit and wait to duck the second one, you find yourself at a -4 scenario where it's still his turn anyway. Next up is Leaping the Bullet. Speaking of the wiki being wrong, it says this is -16, and that is absolutely wrong. It looks just like the follow-up to his one low, but it's not. This is... I couldn't tell you why a move like that is completely safe. You can kind of guard impact it if he does it from far, but otherwise, yeah, it's just a thing. Just, I don't know, start pressure afterwards. It is very sidesteppable though, so if you see Relic, you can try stepping and just hope you won't get caught by Quick Draw. If you let him transition into Relic, it's kind of mix-up time anyway. I don't know if you remember from earlier, but most of the attacks that transition him into this stance are going to leave him negative enough that you can just hit him out of it. So this is going to be the type of thing that he either does in neutral or he does post knockdown, and then it's kind of mix-up time. Sorry, got distracted. So unblockable, just react. It seems like going right is the better option. I still can't do combos today. He can also transition into the other stances. He can do movement options. I say stances, but really he can't do silent step. He can only do mist out of it, sorry. He also has a guard impact out of this, which is just, it's 100% a read. It catches everything though. Like if you do something slow, you might end up whiff punishing it, or that's not the right term, but however, it will parry grabs, it'll parry low kicks, like it gets verticals, horizontals, highs, lows, you name it. So that's just a, if he goes for it and makes a bad read, make sure you punish the recovery, and otherwise just be aware that it's there. Don't get hit, as anime players say. And that wraps up Mitsurugi's special moves. Okay, wrapping up Mitsurugi, we've got his gauge attacks. Leading right off, we have the famous 12-frame critical edge, because that's a thing that he totally needs.
Time to end you.
Fortunately, it is quite negative. But I think that 12 frames is the fastest CE in the game. Next up, we have Tear Step, which you might recognize as Faint L or whatever it was called. It's basically still the same move on block. It's just that on hit, it's enhanced to an attack throw. So still punish it the same way. Next is Nirvana Cannon. You can side moves. This is the launcher that was -14, but now it's a mandatory sidestep if you don't want to be negative. Step to the right. Well, actually, both work. Okay. Then is Roaring Top, which is, I just feel like being plus now. You can sort of maybe theoretically react to that and run up behind him and back throw him. But this is, it used to be a while rising B punish, and now it's just a, I feel like being +4. Popular tactic by Mitsurugi is going for guard break is to, after landing some combo or another, transition into soul charge on the knockdown and then just repeatedly spam Roaring Top, and there's not much you can do about it except be brave and try to sidestep and hope he's not throwing out the Tear Step I just showed you, and then you get attack thrown. So then there's Harvest Dance, the legendary 1KB Brave Edge, now in Soul Charge form. Incidentally, I swear this used to be 2KB, but whatever. I didn't notice that when I showed the non-charged version. Just like regular 1KB though, it's still -16, and you can tell that the third hit is coming based on this soul charge animation. It's just similar to Tear Step. It is an on-hit kind of enhancement and not an on-block. Similar with Endless Howl here. You gotta kind of somehow know what's happening. It's -10 though, so just go for while rising A, and then you're in a decent spot for mix-up or whatever. Because it's pretty hard to react to that. If you do, you can't get his back though. Next is Exploding Flame Roar. This one you do kind of have to react to, but be careful because it's still just as bad to get hit by. This one is more of an on-block kind of enhancement, because now it's, I think, 0 instead of minus whatever it was. Also, it's a break attack now, which it wasn't before, so more guard damage and not parryable, etc. Then we've got Imperial Zeal, which is this previously -14, now ends with a break attack. One thing I didn't notice about the original version of the move is you can just step right. So yeah, extra important to do that on the version that has a break attack at the end. Next is Step Heavenly Divide. This one is still -14, just like its original version. I don't know why the wiki says -16. That is false. Oops. As I'll show right now. And just like the original version, you can't really punish it because of the pushback. But if your back is to a wall or something, see, -14. Not 100% sure what's better about this version, other than maybe like knockdown. And yeah, that wraps up Mitsurugi's gauge attacks. On to the next character.